Hey there, I'm Ashley and I'm a proud mama of two beautiful kiddos, a wife, a health and wellness coach, and a middle and high school shop teacher.
Hi, I'm Roberta, mama, wife, educator. I'm an entrepreneur and homeschool mom navigating the work, family, social life balance.
Together, we will discuss various topics near and dear to our hearts for teachers and mamas, like routines, health, habits, self-care, and so much more. Living a healthy lifestyle is for everyone from young children to adults. Health, wellness, and emotional and social well-being starts at home and should be expanded upon in the classroom.
Everyone can benefit from the Teacher Mamas podcast. So if you're ready to learn some helpful tips, let's do this thing.
Hello, podcast friends. Today, Ashley and I are going to give our top 5 tips for how to prepare for a longer holiday break. These tips are worded specifically for teachers, but I think that you can adapt these tips to whatever field you are in. Like if you're listening and your occupation is in something else, you're probably still going to have a little bit of a break, at least a couple days maybe. And so you can adapt these tips to you and your specific situation. So before we get into that, I am just super grateful for all of the holiday decorations. They bring me so much joy.
Yes.
I just love it. And I really love, so Ashley's kids were over here the other day, and the 4 of them got together and just became super creative. And I'll share a picture on our Instagram if I haven't already, but I have all these little trees from Target and various places over the years. Like I have probably 20 little trees.
And they're my favorite trees, by the way.
Yeah, they're just amazing. Well, the kids decided to get out the beads and the pipe cleaners, and they made decorations and little ornaments with beads and use the pipe cleaner as garland, and they decorated all of these trees, and it is the cutest thing, and I just love it. It brought them joy. It brings me joy to look at it, even though it might look a little messy. That's okay.
Okay, I have to add one more thing, because you said Christmas decorations, and I'm right there with you, and I'm like beyond joyful with all the holiday decorating. So we started, when I say we, I mean this was my idea that I brought over from my previous school. We're doing hallway decorating and door decorating this year, and I'm making it a contest, and me and my hallway partner are decorating. We have our tiny little hallway, and we have lights, the projector lights that go out on your house. So we didn't put them outside this year, so we brought those in. We have lights hanging from the ceiling. I've got my little speaker out there. We're playing holiday music. I brought in our old tree. We have this giant jaguar painted on the wall, and we made him Max with antlers and the red nose, and we have the Grinch sleigh behind him. And just watching the kids walk through the hallway, and they're the kids that I never see smile are smiling when they're walking by us, and it just makes me super happy. And so the other day, my kids finished with their box projects, and you guys, it's all boys. I have all boys in my wood shop, 9th through 12th grade. And they're like, what are we going to do today? And I was like, well, a couple kids are still finishing up. So I brought in decorations, and they're like, what kind of decorations? And I was like, we're going to do hallway decorating with Christmas stuff. And they're like, oh, are you kidding me? And okay, you guys, when I say 9th through 12th grade boys, I mean boys. These boys are all boy, and they were excited to decorate. They were beyond excited to go decorate the hallway. And one of my kids, he saw the wreath that we were going to put up. He was like, that's disgraceful. What do you mean? It's my little $3 wreath from Walmart that I never use at home. And he's like, that's not a wreath. I'll bring you in a wreath. And I was like, okay. So he brings me one today. It just magically appeared on my door. It was beautiful. And so his family, they own a Christmas tree farm. And he's like, Mrs. Johnson, I made this one special for you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I melted my heart. I've been telling everybody that walks by, I'm like, this is from so-and-so. And they're like, so and so? I'm like, yes, that so and so. He made it specifically for me. Like
That's
he like took it off
adorable.
my door and was like showing me like exactly what they do, and it was the cutest thing ever. The cutest, like I just we can even it would yeah, it was sorry. That was so long, but like it's made me so
I
happy.
love that. That's so special.
It is.
I'll have to take a picture of the wreath on your door.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take pictures of everything. It's just not
Okay,
quite
good.
done yet. Every time the
Gotcha.
kids walk by, they're like, "Are you done yet?" We're like, "No." Mm-mm.
Well, maybe by the time y'all are listening to this, the pictures just might be posted. So check our
Hmm.
Instagram. That's a little plug there. Check our Instagram if you're not
There
already
you go.
friends with us there.
Yep.
So let's get into the meat of this episode here. We really want to talk about how to prep for the holidays and for a peaceful, joyful, restful, intentional break. And so we have 5 tips for you. And the very first tip is leave your work at work. Teachers, leave that teacher bag at work, right? We're all tempted to bring it home. Just don't do it. It's going to sit in the corner and not be touched anyway. Just don't bring it. So
Gonna
instead,
stare at you right in the hairy eyeballs the entire time that you're home, so just leave it there.
that's right. And just make you feel guilty that you're not working.
Hmm.
So leave it at work. And instead, don't just do anything. Just leave it and not do anything. Instead, what I'm proposing is you make a list, make a plan, a list, whatever that looks like for you, but have a plan written down because do not expect yourself to just remember your plan a week or 2 weeks from now. Make a plan, write it down. This is what I'm going to do when I get back. This is how I'm going to make sure
Hmm.
everything I need to do gets done and in the time that I am allowing for it, whether it's before school that day, whether it's, whatever during your preps, whatever it is, make a plan so you know that you have a plan that you feel good about for when you get back. And so when that desire or that worry or that fear about needing to get work done starts to creep in over break, just remind yourself and kind of have an affirmation or a mantra that you repeat to yourself saying, I don't need to worry about work right now. I have a plan for when I get back. I can enjoy the now with my family, with myself, with my friends, whatever it is, but I don't need to worry
Hmm.
about work right now. I have a plan.
Yeah. And I like what you talked about right before we started this episode too is she was saying like, she would we get to the end of our last day and we're like, meh, forget this place. I'm out of here. Where if we just took like 5 or 10 minutes to just like kind of clean our area up so that it's just nice and clean for us and reset and organized when we come back. Like it doesn't even have to be a lot of time. Like I said, like maybe it's just 5 or 10 minutes. I know the other day I was sitting at my desk and I was like, I can't even be here right now because it's so distracting. So I literally picked up all my grading and I went to one of my other benches. So
Yeah.
don't do
So
that to
cleaning
yourself.
the desk.
Yep.
Yeah, clean the desk. I was even thinking, include your students if possible. Like maybe
Hmm. Oh,
one of your
yes.
hours or in elementary, maybe you pick a time slot and it's like, okay, we're just all going to have a task and we're going to work together to make sure that this classroom is ready for us when we get back. And I was thinking one of the big things around this time of year in the elementary room is like pencils. Okay, let's find every pencil we can and sharpen them and make sure they're ready for when we get back. Let's go through the colored pencils and do the same thing. Let's make sure the caps are on tight on the markers and the glue sticks and make sure everything is in its rightful place.
Hmm.
And so that we can feel good about the classroom we're stepping back into and really incorporate that into your teaching time. So it's
Yeah,
not
it's a
you at the end of the day.
really great reminder for me to put into my plans next week too. Or not next week, whatever. But yeah, as a high school shop teacher, like my kids are all in the middle of projects right now, and my room just gets like out of control crazy sometimes. So that's a really good reminder for me too, to put that in my plans on the last day of school for all my classes.
Yeah.
So um we do understand, like, maybe there's some first year teachers listening, or maybe you have like a really heavy workload this year. Hopefully this is not your normal. But we understand, like, if you do have to do some work, make sure you set some boundaries around it. So for
That's right. So
example,
tip
maybe,
number 2,
yeah, tip number
if you
2.
have to do some work, set boundaries.
Yes. So for example, like, you need to get a lesson planned, and you know that it's going to absolutely drive you insane the entire break if you don't do it, because it's just going to be like in the back of your head, like, I know what I want to do. I know it's not going to take me that long. I just need to get it done. So give yourself like 1 hour or whatever your allotted time is, to work on it, and then leave the rest for after break. So like set that time limit. That way you're kind of like racing the clock to get it done. And then whatever you don't get done, you tell yourself, like, it's okay. I did get most of it done, and I'm moving on now, and the rest can wait. Another good example would be like, I know you English teachers, you have lots of papers to grade. So maybe you had them turn in an English paper right before break or something, and you just know, like, you're going to be busy the week after break, and you just really want these out of the way. So maybe for those, like, you give yourself a time over a 2-day period, get as many done as you can, and then the rest just wait, right? So you're not like stretching it out over your entire break, because that's stressful.
Mm-hmm. But this is really, I mean, it's if you really have to get work done. Like if you're
Right.
bringing stuff done, like, oh, I'll just do an hour of work because you feel like you need to be working, not
Mm-hmm.
because you feel like you really truly need to get it done. Otherwise, there will be no time to get it done. And there's a difference there. So really think about your intention. Like, do I truly not have time to do this once break is over? Can it wait?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And really thinking that through. But if it can't wait, set those boundaries with yourself, write it down, share it with a teacher friend, share it with someone who lives in your house with you, so that you can be held accountable to that boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Our third tip is to plan your rest. And we're not going to spend a ton of time on that. Instead, we're going to prompt you to go listen to an episode that I will link in the show notes, that we did all about the 7 types of rest. We did a podcast episode. I have a blog post about this. And so go listen to that to find out what those 7 types of rest are, or go to my blog post. And then challenge yourself to plan something in each of those seven categories. Plan something for yourself, for your family, that is restful, and that is in each of those categories. And so those types of rest, there are 7 of them. Just real quick, it's physical, mental, sensory, creative, emotional, social, and spiritual. But to get more information on that, you can go check out the blog post or our previous podcast episode.
Mm-hmm. And tip number 4, make sure that you are setting boundaries around checking your work email during break. So, for example, my boundary around checking email during break is that it will not be happening. Like,
Yep.
I will not be checking my email over break. And I've like been to people's posts where it's like ridiculous. They're saying, like, their administrators say that they have to respond within 24 hours. And I'm thinking to myself, do they mean like 24 work hours though? Because like that doesn't mean over the weekend. That shouldn't mean over holiday breaks. But they were like alluding to the fact that they were talking about the weekend and breaks as well. And I was like, I don't think that's true.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if it is,
Professional etiquette is business days, right?
right.
Like that's
And
what the doctor's office would be. That's what
yeah.
other, professional places would be, is I'll get back to you. And I would even, as a teacher, I would, if I were on vacation or if it was during summer break, during holiday break, if I had people that were contacting me a lot, then that's when you use that auto email
Mm-hmm.
response. That's it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
out on break. I will respond on the state. And that just it reinforces your boundary. It is professional. But I don't think that needs to happen over Christmas break.
No. And I also like I want to just say like if you truly do have an administrator telling you that, number one, the you need to like set your boundaries with that administrator, it sounds like. Like
Mhm.
maybe speak up and like tell them like, no, I'm not doing that.
That's
And number two, if
unethical.
you don't feel comfortable doing that, or you feel like maybe you're going to lose your job over that, maybe this is not the right place for you to be working. So
Right.
anyways,
Yeah.
but I digress. We're not going there this episode. Anyways, so like I said, I won't be checking email at all. I will be exiting out of it. And but you might have like if you're like me, sometimes I accidentally put my school email in for stuff where I'm like, crap, I meant to put my personal one in. Make sure that this is my little tip because it seems like every time I accidentally check email when I'm not supposed to be, like you accidentally it's exited out, but then like you type in Google and then like your school email pops up instead of your personal email, right? I
Yeah.
think that's what
Yep.
happened. And then for some unknown reason, it's like every time that happens, there is this like daunting email sitting there, like with this awful headline. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I can't help but open it now. And then, you're just like in a really bad mood afterwards. Like I'm sure we've all been there and we've let an email like that like ruin our night and we can't get it out of
Yeah.
our head. And so just make sure that if that is happening, that you leave space and time in between any fun like activities that you're doing so that you're not letting that email like ruin anything that you're going out to do.
Hmm. And then maybe, part of that boundary that you have, like for me, I wanted to check and make sure I knew what I needed to know like the day before going back to school. But after all of the personal development I've done over the past couple of years, I would even probably say I wouldn't even do that. Um, unless, but then, we've all got those teacher friends, right? So if something is like maybe an email is sent out like, oh, tomorrow, like everyone wear your pajamas. I mean, one can only hope that's an email that comes out, but like someone's gonna text you and let you know
Yeah.
that that's going on. So I love what um, a friend of ours said the other day, like when we check our email the night before or during break, it's like I wasn't supposed to worry about this until the morning. I wasn't supposed to worry about this until the first day back at school. Um, and so just making that part of your boundary as not just that I'm not going to check it during these days or during these times, whatever it is, but also when are you going to check it? When are you going to catch up on anything that might have been sent over break and plan that time? Is it going to be right away in the morning, that first day back? Like, but then you have to make sure you're getting your stuff ready for the day as well. So just like planning your time to check the email, not just when you're not going to, but when will you look through all of that and see if there's anything important.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And still talking about boundaries here, but now talking about like the events that you're heading to, the Christmases, whatever it is for you. Um, if you are, especially maybe you're not looking forward to some of them. Maybe there's some family members there that you're like, ugh, Aunt Susie again, cousin Charlie, like, um, how can we set boundaries around this so that we can have a good Christmas experience and like a good time with our family still and not let those like individual people kind of rule our day, right? So maybe like on your way to the event or 10 to 15 minutes before while driving. If you're driving, obviously don't sit and meditate with your eyes closed, but maybe if your spouse is driving, sit there quietly, try to get all the negative thoughts out about like the specific person. Maybe even, I heard this in a podcast the other day, and it was for every, I think it was actually from the book, Think Like a Monk from Jay Shetty, but it was on the Empower Her podcast. She was talking about, in the book, he talks about every time you think something negative about somebody in your life or whoever, you have to think of 10 positive things about them. And she was like, okay, that's a little extreme. How about we just dial it down to like 3? So I like that. Like maybe you're having a really hard time and with this specific person, and all you can think about is, all you guys, I have been here, and it has actually been very recent. So like hearing her say this was really good for me. So every time you think something negative of this person, think of 3 positive things to kind of counteract that, so that you're not just thinking of all the negative things about this person that's going to drive you crazy when you walk in the door for Christmas. This is really going to help shift your energy, which is going to change the way that other people might come off to you as well. And like also just like the experiences you're going to have that day and conversations and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I think we had an episode that dove into this a little bit more last year around this time. I will link that in the show notes as well. I think we also dove into like journaling and thinking through like possible conversations that you think might happen, and instead of like ruminating over it, to be constructive and think through what you'll say, and not just think through it, but write it down, so that it's easier to go through those situations in the moment. So I'll link that in the show
We're
notes.
so smart. I love having a podcast because we can just like go back and like re-listen to ourselves a year ago and like, oh yeah,
Right.
that happened.
Yeah.
I'm reliving that again. I need that again.
Right. I need that
I
reminder.
you
Let's
guys,
go
I
back.
literally did this. Yeah. I literally did this with, I've been talking a lot on both IG accounts lately because my sad symptoms have been hitting me hard lately. So I went back and listened to our vitamin D and like all that good stuff, our seasonal affective disorder episodes from last year, because I was like, okay, I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything.
Right. Right. Good point. All right. So our fifth and final tip is to plan joy into your break. Think about those things that make you happy and really reflect on not just happy, because I think joy is so much more than just a feeling of happiness. Happiness is very fleeting. And with joy, we can choose those things a little bit more. And so just thinking through what are the things during this time of year, especially during break, maybe traditions that you've done or started with your family. What are those things that bring you joy that you want to make sure happen during your break? But then also like individually, what brings you joy as a human being, and doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you want to add to that, Ashley?
Yeah, no, I think just writing a list of the 5 specific things that like you want to do with your family, maybe a couple things by yourself, maybe a couple things with your friends or whatever it is, and then just make sure that you're scheduling those in, because break is a time to take a break, and I am so guilty of this. Every I think a lot of us teachers are. It's like, I feel like we always come back from break and we're like, what did you do over break? And they're like, well, we had all these great intentions, but I actually just sat and
Mm-hmm.
binged Netflix the whole time. And like,
Right.
okay, number one, if you're gonna sit and binge Netflix because that's what you want to do, that's what brings you joy, then sit and binge Netflix, but don't like feel guilty about it, because when we come back
Mhm.
from break, that's what I always hear. Like I had this huge long to-do list and blah, 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 blah. And then what happens is we feel guilty that we didn't get our to-do list done. So I've had it that way. And then I've also last year, I specifically remember telling myself, I'm never freaking doing this again. We scheduled way too much in, and we had too many like big we did our bathroom. That's what we did. We did our bathroom over break. And I was like,
Yeah.
I am never doing a project like that over break again, because I feel like I didn't rest. I didn't do the
Right.
like we wanted the bathroom done, but it wasn't restful. It wasn't really joyful because my husband and I really don't get along when we do projects together. So like that just wasn't fun. So like I said, I've had it both ways. I've had it where you schedule a really long to-do list and then you do nothing and then you feel guilty about it. And then you schedule in too many big projects and you like stretch yourself too thin and then you feel like you don't even get a rest. So you guys, this last part is 100% for me, because it's a reminder for myself that, hey, this is a time to rest and relax, be joyful, spend time with family and friends. This is not a time to cram everything in or pretend like I'm going to cram everything in. So I just we'll just leave it at that. I think that's a really great ending to this episode, you guys. And, like the true intent of this break is break. So actually rest, take some much needed time off, refuel so that you can come back after break the best you that you can be.
Absolutely. So leave that work at work. If you do have to do work, set boundaries, plan your rest. Again, set boundaries and plan joy into your break. We will talk to you again in a couple weeks. Next week, we are off for the break because we are taking a break. And we're doing what we preach. We're leaving work at work and we will not be working. So we'll see you after the break.
Happy holidays, everybody.
We want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to us chat about healthy family living. We would love to hear your thoughts or any ideas you have for future episodes. So feel free to message us at theteachermamaspodcast@gmail.com or the Teacher Mamas Podcast on Instagram. It would also mean so much to us if you would leave a quick rating or review on whatever platform you're listening from.
If something really stood out to you today, don't forget to share it with someone else in your life that might need to hear it too. Spread the word. Please don't forget to share with your online community and tag us. For more positivity and inspiration on how we navigate life and the things we do on a daily basis to stay sane in the crazy, don't forget to go follow each of us on Instagram. Check the show notes for our handles.